7 p.m. Can we have an opening statement, please?
Sure. Howell Township Zoning Board of Adjustment, Monday, June 12, 2023, regular meeting. I hereby declare this meeting of the Howell Township Zoning Board to be open, adequate notice having been given pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act in the following manner. First, on March 31st, 2023, a copy of said notice was mailed to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger. Second, on March 31st, 2023, a copy of said notice was hand-delivered to the clerk of the Township of Howell. Third, on March 31st, 2023, said notice was posted in the office of the Zoning Board and on the Bulletin Board in the Howell Township Municipal Building, 4567 Route 9, Howell Township, New Jersey. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code and for your safety, please be advised that this facility is designed with 2 emergency exits, which are on your right and at the front and rear of the meeting room. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Township TV 77. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues of what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and the decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. May we please have a roll call?
Mr. Barillo.
Here.
Mr. Cantor.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
Mr. Mertens.
Here.
Mr. Roscoe is excused, Mr. Stan is excused, and Mr. Ryan is excused. Mr. Rubel
Here.
and Chairman Saya,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Will everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Bear, can we please have a swearing in of the professionals?
There, I was doing that. Yes, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please just state your name for the record.
Charles Conliff, T&M Associates.
Sam Avakian.
Your professionals are sworn, sir.
Thank you, sir. Eileen, approval of minutes, May 22nd, 2023, regular meeting. Eligible voters, Barillo, Cantor, Mertens, Stanton, Ryan, and Saya. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mertens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicholas. Barillo. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barillo,
Yes.
Mr. Cantor,
Yes.
Mr. Mertens,
Yes.
and Chairman Saya.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
Thank you. Eileen, item 6, any vouchers?
No vouchers tonight.
Item 7, correspondence.
I have 3 things for correspondence.
Take them one at a time.
Okay. Application BA 2119, Restoration Family Worship, will be rescheduled to a future date with notice.
Okay. So that's case number BA 21-19, Restoration Family Worship. This application will be carried to a later date with notice.
Yes.
Thank you.
The second is application number BA 2209, Plaza Mexico, has withdrawn their application from the board.
Okay, case number BA 22-09, Plaza Mexico, DE, NJ LLC. Application has been withdrawn.
Case number BA 2217, Brian and Cheryl Hewlett, will be rescheduled to a later date with notice.
So anyone here for case number BA 22-17, Brian and Cheryl Hewlett? This case will be scheduled to a further date with notice.
That's it for correspondence.
Thank you, Eileen. Whoa. All right, resolutions. BA 22-16, Paul and Ashley Vallejo. Resolution granting bulk variance approval for swimming pool, paver patio, and PVC shed. Eligible voters, Barillo, Hughes, Mertens, Orozco, Ryan, Rubel, and Saya. Do we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Hughes and Mertens. Eileen, roll call, please.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Mertens?
Yes.
Mr. Rubel?
Yes.
And Chairman Saya.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Thank you. Next resolution, BA 18-37X, CTC Landscaping. This is a resolution granting 2 one-year extensions of time. Eligible voters, Barillo, Hughes, Orozco, Ryan, Rubel, and Saya. Eileen, roll call. Do we have a motion, please?
Motion.
All right. Mr. Barillo, and do we have a second?
Second.
Rubel, thank you. Eileen, roll call, please.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Rubel?
Yes.
And Chairman Saya.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Third resolution on the agenda, BA 23-01, Estate of Margaret McCrink. Resolution granting bulk variance approval for construction of a single-family dwelling on an undersized lot. Eligible voters, Barillo, Hughes, Mertens, Orozco, Ryan, Rubel, and Saya. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mertens and Hughes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Mertens?
Yes.
Mr. Rubel?
Yes.
And Chairman Saya.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to applications before the board. Next up is case number BA 23-03, David Reed. This type is a construction of a single-family dwelling with front yard setback. The description, application of David Reed as applicant and owners seeking bulk variance approval to demolish an existing two-story single-family dwelling and construct a new two-story dwelling in the front yard setback. The applicant also proposes covered front porch and rear patio area with other associated improvements on premises known as Block 164, Lot 21, 89 Howell Road. Expiration September 13th, 2023. Mr. Bear?
Yes, notice has been properly given of this application. The board has jurisdiction.
Okay, great. All right, is Mr. Reed here? Come on up, sir.
You can either sit at the table or stand at the podium, whichever you prefer.
What do you guys like?
You could sit, it doesn't matter. You just have to stand and get sworn in first. Sure.
And the other question is in your, you could go back, it's all good.
Okay.
I don't know where you're sitting, but in the application, I know you have an engineer who I don't see. Okay. So you'll be the only person providing testimony then.
Well, I mean, everything he had was submitted was, I don't know if we can do any more to help us as far as that part goes.
That's a little,
Kind of
well, let's get you sworn.
talked earlier,
Can we get you sworn? Yep.
And I'm going to put the microphone
Did you guys,
out.
did they use this?
Pick you up on the mic.
Okay. Left hand on the Bible, right hand up. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
David Reed.
Your witness is sworn.
Thank you, sir.
Applicant is.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
So, there's a few things that I probably want to bring forward, right? One is, of course, John, do you have anything to mention with regards to, this is a farm, it's a sod farm, It's in farmland preservation, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is there anything other than, farming that's going on at the premises?
So I was advised by the land use director, Mr. Matt Howard, that the applicant had requested to be able to have a family wedding, which was allowed. It's, an event that can be held on any property in town, and that was allowed, but not as, it's not permitted. So any kind of application with regards to that would require some kind of a use variance.
Okay, thank you,
No problem.
thank you. Okay, so Mr. Reed,
Yes, sir.
you're here in front of us. Paperwork has been submitted. The engineer, you want to knock down a single family, and you want to build a new one. Can you give us some background, please?
My wife, Teresa, who's back here, she has severe allergy to mold. And being as my house is circa 1910 or so, it's got a brick wall basement, which is not repairable. We elected to, for her health reasons, to start over. We remediated the house once 6 years ago, and we did not cure our problems. So for her well-being, we just wanted to start over.
Okay. So then,
And the one thing I noticed you said, we're not putting a two-story dwelling back. It's going to be a ranch-style home. Basically in this, not exactly, but basically in the same footprint.
one story. Charlie, you made note of that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So I had asked that question in my letter. You guys can hear me, right? I'm getting picked up. Yeah, I think
He's
it's on.
green.
Okay, just making
He's
sure.
green.
Pull it closer to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to share the applicant's architectural rendering, hopefully. Is it coming up on the screen there?
Yes.
And on the second page here, so I had questioned on whether or not this is one or two story. We only received a basement plan and then an architectural elevation. There weren't any renderings or floor plans for a first story and or a second story. As you can see, there's clearly a first story, and then there's a possibly second story with windows. So we had that question for the applicant. Is there any intent to make that habitable space? What's the use of that attic area?
If anything, there might be storage. It's not going to be, we're not making bedrooms or anything else up there.
Okay, so it's just for storage purposes, so not
Yeah,
habitable space?
if that.
You would, and you're okay with that being a condition of any approval if the board acts favorably on the application, not habitable space?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to give the board clarity, it's an existing two-story structure, so it's 2 full stories, and then there's a gable roof on there right now. The existing structure, the setback requirement of the zone is 100 feet. It's currently set back 35.6 feet from the Howell Road right-of-way line. So the applicant's proposing to match that existing setback. I'll just open the site plan real quickly. This is the proposed dwelling. I don't know if I can find the hand tool here. But you can see the proposed garage is matching that 35.6 foot setback from the right-of-way. The remainder of the structure is going to be set back another further, I don't have a dimension on here. And then there's also a proposed septic system in the front yard area. As far as number of bedrooms, do you have an idea on how many bedrooms you're proposing?
It's 3.
3, okay. And then I think that's just needs to be made a condition of the approval. The applicant has submitted and got Monmouth County Board of Health approval for a septic system for 3 bedrooms, but that's capped at 3 bedrooms. Any addition would require expansion of the septic system. Is there any intent to mount that system, elevate it at all?
The engineer said, according to my soil samples, that it was going to be a flat system.
Okay.
The soil tested very well. My house is it's up this high, the ground is up this high from Howell Road to start with.
Okay.
So it tested very well.
Okay. So what I would just ask is, obviously, anything subject to Monmouth County Board of Health approval. If there is any need to elevate the septic system, that we see some like type of grading plan as far as included with a plot plan submission. We have some of these in areas where there's high water table, and then it's, you're raising a lot 2 or 3 feet above grade in the front yard area. It kind of creates a visual impact from the right of way. So as long as it's matching existing grade, I would have no issue with that. As far as, so you said 3 bedrooms, you're proposing a 20 by 20 stone driveway off of the existing driveway that accesses the dwelling?
The driveway will be the same as it is.
So you have the existing driveway off of Howell Road, but you're proposing an attached garage and a separate 20 by 20 gravel driveway coming off the existing driveway, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be gravel or if if that would end up being concrete. I don't know.
So,
Or asphalt. I don't
so
know.
as far as RSIS, 3 bedrooms, it's required 2 parking spaces. If that's the parking area plus a garage, you've got 20 by 20. It's standard parking stall is 9 by 18. So you've got room to park 2 cars there, so that complies. As far as the driveway covering, I would just ask that it be in compliance with the township ordinance requirements for driveways that typically requires concrete or an asphalt pavement section. You have no issue with complying with that?
No.
Okay, and that would just be for that 20 by 20. It's an existing gravel driveway. You've lived there for a number of years, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right-of-way dedication, so the applicant is proposing right-of-way dedication along a portion of the property. As the chairman alluded to, the property does have some deed restrictions with the county, with farms, farm preservation, I apologize. They're only proposing the right-of-way dedication along the subject portion in front of the dwelling. Having said that, this is a farm property that's 56-plus acres with 1,700 feet of frontage. We have required right-of-way dedication along the entire frontage on similar type of properties. Does the applicant have an issue with providing the 8.5-foot wide dedication along the whole frontage that allows the town to be able to widen the roadway in the future should there be need to do so?
Just not on my side.
It would have to be on your side.
You know, I mean, if I'm 35 feet now, if I get the road gets any closer, I wouldn't be too keen on that, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll leave that up to the board's discretion. That's something that we've typically required on almost all applications, right-of-way dedication, and that's, most of our roads throughout town, obviously Howell's a rural town, we've got 10.5-foot lanes in some spots. And then you got shoulders that are higher than the road that can cause ponding issues. The right-of-way dedication allows the town to be able to widen the road to put in drainage infrastructure, create shoulders for public safety. I'll leave that up to the board's discretion. It would be my recommendation because we've required on the past.
I mean, I own the property across the street also. It's a different block and lot,
Yeah.
so
It would, no, so
I
that's.
just wouldn't want them to go any closer to my
So
house.
it would only be the subject frontage that's part of this application. You wouldn't be able to dedicate across the street. That's not part of the application. I'll leave that for the board's discussion. We can touch back on that. We'll touch on the use at the end.
So Charlie,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
one second. So an 8-foot right-of-way brings us from 35 to 27 feet, right?
Yeah, I
to
think
the
you have
front.
33 feet right now, so 8.5 gets you to 50 feet. So typically, if you have 33 foot wide, you take 8.5 on both sides of the road. The subject application is on the west side of the road here, so we're only asking for the dedication, obviously, on the west side of the road for the
Okay.
subject frontage.
And Mr. Reed, you can't move the back just a little bit?
They told me no because of I don't know if you can point out the swimming pool
So-
on there.
so
I
just-
can't move the house behind the swimming pool. So they basically told me I had to put it back where it was.
So just to be clear, we're not asking, I'm not suggesting that they move the house from where it's shown right now. It's just right-of-way dedication along the frontage, and that just extends the township's right to widen the road or put in drainage should there be a need to do so in the future. The applicant did, and I'll I'll see if I can just share Google Earth so you can get a better idea, hopefully, of what's going on here. So this is the existing structure. So there is a paved patio, there is a pool, there are improvements, you know, for the applicant to push the structure back, you know, 8.5 feet with the right-of-way dedication. It's not as simple as just, you know, taking out some additional sod. You know, you're talking about hard structures. I'm not suggesting that the applicant do that. It's just right-of-way takings along the frontage to allow the town to, if they want to widen the road because there's a drainage issue, you know, or put in a shoulder so that way, you know, truck vehicles can get up and down the road without, you know, going into the opposite lane. That's all that would be for.
And Charlie, there's no plan the township has now to do that. This would just be a reservation.
Exactly.
I'm sorry,
How?
Yeah.
I just think it's really dangerous.
Um,
How will-
I gotta, ma'am, you're not a sworn witness. If you want to testify, you gotta come up, testify. You can't talk from the back. Don't mean to be rude, but, okay. Yep. You're more than welcome to testify if you want to, but we just gotta swear you, then you should come up.
So, and like Andy stated, that's not, the town's gonna take the dedication and widen the road tomorrow, right? That's, if there's ever a need in the future, 30, 50, 100 years from now, the township has the right to do that and the ability to do that. And it's, like I said, for public safety, ameliorating drainage issues, things of that nature. The basement space, is there any intent to put any habitable space with bedrooms or anything like that? That's just-
Bedrooms, no.
Okay. There's a deck on the back of the structure. Is there any intent to enclose that or put a roof?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think there's a roof over part of it
Okay.
in the plans, I think.
So what I would say is if there's an intent to roof it in its entirety, we included a building coverage calculation. I think the applicant's well under what's required in the zone. It's a 56-acre parcel. We're only dealing with, you know, less than an acre subject to this application. I have no issue with it. If it was a deck in the front yard, or we were dealing with one of our R5 or R50, you know, the smaller, then that becomes more of a sightline issue. So I just want to get that on the record. You're proposing a new septic system. Presumably, there's an existing septic system that services the dwelling.
Correct.
So as a condition of any approval, once you hook up to the new, you're going to have to get certificate of abandonment from Board of Health. You're going to have to get free-old soils if you're over 5,000 square feet. I'll just ask for your engineer to confirm that, whether or not you're over 5,000 square feet. And that's just for, as you do the improvements, you're not getting soil washing onto the public right-of-way or impacting neighboring properties. As far as residential development, anytime we see an expansion, they are decreasing the building coverage slightly, but it is an increase in impervious coverage by 1,000 square feet. We have on similar type applications required dry wells or a rain garden if it's in our smaller lot, 15,000 square feet, things of that nature. Being that this is a farm property, 60 acres, I don't really see the need for it unless the board sees the need for it. The last thing that I have is coming back to that use with potential weddings. So there's an and I'll just show it on the Google Earth aerial again. So Howell Road obviously runs north-south. This is the dwelling that's being demolished, which is in the vicinity of the new dwelling. There's a shop area and a greenhouse, and you currently operate like aquaponics to do farm-to-table.
Aeroponics, yes.
Aeroponics, farm-to-table activities. And then you have like events like dinners where you're,
We haven't had any since COVID, but
okay.
yes, my son got married there, but we had a tent out back.
And that was a family member?
My son, yeah.
Okay. And then, are you doing any outside events like bar mitzvahs, weddings, things of that nature?
Well, we plan to in the future with the SOE laws. The new special event,
So, and Andy, I don't know if you want to
special occasion events that
Yeah.
passed in January.
If you want to touch on
Yeah,
that.
that law, which just came about this year, does allow for special events on farmland preserved property, but it would require approval from the county and as well as the township. So right now, this is, special events are not a permitted use, so the applicant would need a use variance to, that's the
Okay.
kind of approval from this board the applicant would need, in addition to whatever approval the county requires. That's the county ag board, or is the county department?
I don't know if that goes through.
Harriet's too.
I think she's with the county ag board, right?
Yeah.
Who?
Harriet?
Harriet Hongfeld?
Yeah.
She's with Farmland Preservation.
Yes.
But she's on the Monmouth County Ag Board. though.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, right. So that would require those approvals. So
I mean,
any,
just oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
In casual conversation with her, I mean, they're kind of all on board with it and for it. I haven't done any formal applications with them, but I don't foresee a problem with the county.
Okay, so Mr. Reed,
Yes, sir.
so this is for the single-family, single-story dwelling or two-level, single-living dwelling, correct?
Correct.
This application, should it be approved, stands on its own, and if you conduct any of that SOE without first going to Monmouth and coming back to us, then that would negate the approval of this application based on land use. John?
That's correct. We currently don't have any ordinances that allow special events, and the Chapter 9, which the applicant is referencing, in its first rendition, it looked like the state was going to approve and run with the entire process itself. But since then, the final version, which finally passed, I believe, in February of this year, stated that it's up to the municipality. It's not a waiver. It doesn't supersede any municipal ordinances, that they would still have to come back to us and get approval from the county as well as the township. So they allow you to do it on the preserved land, but we don't have any current ordinances. It's my understanding that there's something in the works, but it's still not there. So as it stands right now, as of today, you would have to come in for a use variance to hold any kind of special events. So, and as Mr. Sayer had stated, any approval of this application would stipulate that no private events to the public would be allowed. Mr. Howard had allowed or was aware of 2 family events, which is typical if you had a barbecue in your backyard and you invited family. The applicant stated that it was his son that got married. We don't have an issue with that, but once you start opening up the public, you have other considerations that have to be taken into account. We currently don't have anything to guide us on that as of yet, so those events, as of today, are not allowed. He would have to come in for a separate use variance.
And to add to that, so it's, special events is a use variance, and now you're approving a change to the structure and expansion of the structure, so that also exacerbates the nonconformity. So it would be, the 2 use variances, because now you have 2 principal uses on the same lot. So, just want to make sure it's clear, like, if that's what you have an intent to, you got to go to the county to get their approval, and then you would have to come back to the board to then get the board's use variance approval, and then we'll review site plan. The fire official always needs to give his blessing on, emergency access and things like that, so.
And then, just for the record, there have been advertisements for special events. That's a matter of public record that at least research revealed, like on Instagram. So I would say if that's, are you beyond organic growers?
Yes.
Okay. So there's an advertisement for like weddings here on Instagram, so that would seem to be contrary to your testimony, but,
So, Mr. Reed, it's procedurally we're talking, right? Putting the cart before the horse and so forth. I just want to make it clear that, that if you were to modify your application and come back with this and the use variance at the same time, and you go through Monmouth, that would not negate you from doing any special events at this point in time and it would still allow you to continue doing what you're doing. If you have anything planned right now going on, and it's going to take you a year to build, or 2 years to build the house, it's going to hinder your ability to do the other, because the two are tied together when it comes to MULU and the land use laws. And I don't want to see you get yourself in a bind there.
Well, let me ask you a question. If I proceeded tonight and got my house approved, and then I went directly to the county, say tomorrow, and sought their approval for this, could I come to you, or do you have anything in place for this?
Once
mean-
the county would give you approval, then, Charlie, they would come back through us, but now he's looking for the special use, correct? And that special use would require what criteria, Charlie? Go ahead.
So they need a use variance and they need a site plan approval. I mean, looking at the aerial that's shown here, obviously it looks like there's a parking area that's servicing this shop and this greenhouse. So, we're gonna ask questions like, how many visitors do you have for these special events? There's certain parking requirements when we have gatherings for, the closest standard we have in the ordinance is like house of worship and things like that, that require for every 3 attendees or 3 seats, you need 1 parking space. So, you need to think about those things. If you're having 200-person weddings, that's 66 parking spaces that you're required. I don't know what you have in there right now.
Well, like when my son got married there, we've just parked out in the field. I mean, it's sod, so it was
Yeah.
easy walking, easy
So,
everything.
as the board is aware, we did have another application that came through. Adding another wrinkle to this, the stormwater rules changed a couple years ago. It used to be under the old rules, you could park on grass, and there was some gray area on what was impervious cover and things like that, gravel and grass. That's since changed. Anything, regardless of the cover, that gets regular parking on, is regulated motor vehicle surface. If that's over a 1/4 acre, then you need to comply with the stormwater management rules. So I would encourage you, if you want to go that route, that you engage the services of your engineer or another site engineer to try to make sure you're staying underneath those thresholds, but also making sure you're compliant with our parking requirements. That parking area that's there, that looks like it's existed, it would probably predate those stormwater management rules, so it would only be this expansion that's subject to that. But I just want to make sure, if you come back, it's probably in your best interest to engage an engineer just to get over these hurdles when you come back. I don't think, we've had these similar type of applications come in, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of concern from residents and from the board, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. A lot of the concerns that end up coming to trash refuse, do you have bathroom facilities for these events, how's that handled? Ingress, egress for fire safety, and then do you do any kind of like traffic management at your site entrance when you do have these specific events? One of the other ones we had was a little bit different. They had the access and egress on 2 different right-of-ways. This is a little bit, you're coming in perpendicular to a tight right-of-way. Those are just things you're going to need to be cognizant of if you do return to the board with that application.
It's pretty comprehensive.
Well,
I mean,
right.
If I start getting into retention basins and all that, I mean, I might as well
So,
quit. I mean, it's just it'll get cost prohibitive, like,
So what I would encourage is to get an engineer and stay under those limits, and like I said, it's just the expansion. So what's there now, if that was approved, land use permits or county ag board, that's fine. It's just, if you have, say, 30 parking spaces there right now, and you say you have 200 guests, then you only need 30 more parking spaces. They might be able to help you navigate to stay under those thresholds of a major development.
would you say the threshold was a 1/4 acre?
Yeah, for regulated motor vehicle surface. So that's
So
something that
that's-
gets regular parking on.
10,000 square feet.
And these are state law requirements. This is not something that the board or the township's making up, right? So these come from DEP.
like I said, it puts us in a hard position underneath the old rules. There was a little bit more gray area, gravel, and frequency of parking in our ordinance. Now it's a little bit more black and white with that, how it's applied, unfortunately.
Thank you, Charlie. Anything else, Charlie?
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Sam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe everyone touched on it. I did just want to throw out part of that stipulation of the Chapter 9. I read through it all, and it just stipulates if you could provide testimony that nothing from your structure that you're going on now would eventually become part of that event. So you can't use anything, you couldn't use a bathroom facility or anything such as that. So,
In my house?
correct, yeah.
No.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Board members? Start with Mr. Cantor.
I'm a little confused with how the special event variance would work if we approve this application as it is now. If we approve this application as it is now, I'm with the right-of-way condition, we're just approving the house.
Correct.
Is whatever we're saying that if they would come back for the special event variance in the future, it would negate what we're approving now?
I mean, Mr. Cantor, I don't think so. I think it would be in addition to, right?
Okay.
It would be the residential would be, approved, and then if they want to have special events, weddings, that kind of thing, they would have to get, as Charlie pointed out, a use variance or two use variance.
A completely new application?
It would be a new application.
Yes.
There was some talk before the meeting about whether this application could be amended for the special use, and then to modify renotice the application for the use variance, but I can't speak for I can't testify for the applicant, but given, I think, his wife's health condition, they wanted to move forward with the residential piece now.
Understood, thank you.
And of course, once this is completed, then you move on to the other, right?
Right.
You just can't have this in the midst of being constructed and start doing the other without coming before us first.
Understood.
Okay. Mr. Berlin? Mr. Martins?
So my take is this is not exactly what we heard with the Patterson, because the Patterson was already existing, the structure. So we were just hearing the use variance for them to have the special events. So, Mr. Reed, as you know, we approved it, so I'm just saying that we know the town is very keen on trying to allow farmers to, I know you grow sod and everything many years, and we encourage to see people stay, and I think as long as you, stay the course and do what's required, I mean, I don't think it's a hard case for us to go along with, but we do have to follow the guidelines that are given to us.
Thank you.
Okay?
Mr. Hughes?
I think my only question at this time is, where are we with the right-of-way? We still have
Okay.
to come to a conclusion on that.
Yes. 8 feet, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, 8.5.
8.5.
8.5.
It's the half that's getting me. I mean, you can see from the photo how close I am now. And unfortunately, I have to put the house back in the same spot to conform with everything else. So, I mean, if they cut 8.5 feet off my front, I could grab somebody's rearview mirror going by.
So, and just to clarify, Mr. Chair, so if the existing road width is 24 feet wide, I'd say that's probably generous. So taking another 8 feet, I don't know, it's not like you're gonna get a 2-lane highway out there with an 8-foot shoulder. I think that's highly unlikely. If anything, it's more so probably, if the township ever has an intent to widen the roadway, it would be to, anywhere from a 2 to a 4-foot shoulder. So that way, you're riding on the fog line, you're not right on the edge of the pavement. If there's nuisance ponding, that would give them the ability to put in a drainage system to tie it in somewhere, so that way you get a heavy rain, you're not driving through a lake or into the opposing lane of traffic every time you get a heavy rain. That's really what it's meant for.
Yeah, I think that's where we have to, weigh the
probability of it happening versus, we have to get the approval. And I
mean,
agree.
Can I ask you a question? What about the other property owners along the road? I mean,
So-
if they're going to do, they'd have to do the whole thing, I assume. So
Yeah.
what about the other property owners?
You're correct, but it has to start somewhere, and usually it starts with the board, and when every applicant comes before the board, it's typically a requirement that they're required to.
But I'm saying, once you get down, if you're familiar with the end of Howell Road at
No, I know what you're
524,
saying, and if you look at.
there's no room.
And if you look at the tax map, you'll see that the right-of-way line actually jogs in and out. And what happens is every time that someone comes before the board, they're required to dedicate right-of-way. That gets it to the Township Engineering Department. The tax map gets revised and then show that right-of-way dedication. And then hopefully, in a perfect world, like I said, 50 years from now, 33 feet is no longer 33 feet. It's a consistent 50 feet, the whole stretch of the corridor there, so.
I
like
think
said-
also, Mr. Reed, that question you just asked kind of addresses the probability, right? You'd have to get clearance all the way across, so. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's, I don't want to minimize it either. It's something that certainly could happen, but
And what I will say is, there's other means to take that. It can be a right-of-way dedication, it could be a roadway widening easement, that's also something that we've done in the past. The applicant still technically owns the property to the existing right-of-way line, but it gives the township an easement to widen the roadway. It's
on paper, how wide is that road? 50?
33 foot wide, the right-of-way.
On paper too, though? I mean, I know like where my house is, I have 20-some odd feet in front of me, but it's a 50-foot on paper.
Yeah, oh,
It
yeah,
was a
the
paper
actual
street.
physical roadway is probably only like 22 to 24
Oh,
feet
okay, so
that's out there.
33 is okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that gives you the ability to, maintain the shoulder if you need to cut the grass.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Rebel?
Just for my clarification, going back to the impervious coverage associated with the use variance for special events, I guess the question's to Charlie, just for my own knowledge, what constitutes like frequent parking? Is that just for the one use variance for the one event, or is it multiple?
No,
I heard you mention
So
frequency, but it's just one shot?
So there is also some gray area with that in the new rules,
Yeah.
I will say. I can tell you on the other application that we did have it was to host events almost up to 52 times a year, every weekend kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So that's not just your large event, 2 times in the fall, 2 times in the spring.
Right.
What I would say is a licensed engineer is going to help you navigate those gray areas a little bit better than doing it yourself. We also have had some other applicants come in for concept plans for similar type of uses on farm properties and have looked into like shared parking or off-site parking to kind of try to satisfy that need. Having said that, also knowing how many, if you do want to host weddings, how many people you're anticipating can help you back into what actual parking requirement you need and how much you need to expand it to. So, and like I said, if it may be you have a 100-person wedding and your parking requirement is 33 spaces, right? But then you might have one with 150, and that might happen once a year. Perhaps an argument can be made that that's not frequent parking and it's just for once or twice a season. But like I said, a licensed engineer will help you navigate those nuances.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlie.
Mr. Reed, would you like to take a break 5 minutes and discuss it with the missus?
I would.
Okay, great. Eileen?
The board will now take a 5-minute break and reconvene at 7:49 PM. The
Eileen,
meeting will now reconvene.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome back, Mr. Reed.
Thank you.
So, I'm hoping that you were able to come to a meeting of the minds there.
Well,
And we still have the outstanding, right-of-way that's before us, correct? So, Rich, do you have a question?
Yeah, regarding the snow fence, is that something, Charlie, you or Andy know about? Is that something that we have to be considering, that the town puts up during the wintertime prior to the winter?
I'm not aware of,
John?
I'm sorry.
No fence.
In the fall, usually DPW, and I've seen the county do it on a field, they usually put up those snow fences.
Along Howell Road?
Do they do that on Howell Road?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I could answer your question, it's not going to, nothing there would change.
Okay.
They put it all the way from the Thompson house, all the way down, and they put it all the way, actually put it into my yard part of the way. Because when it drifts across there, it's not pretty.
Yeah.
But haven't had any snow in 2 years, so
Well, don't-
it hasn't really come into
Now we'll have
use.
a
but-
lot.
Yeah.
You've cursed us.
So then, Charlie?
And then they put it from the other side all the way down to the end of our property to where my son's house is. So it
He's
shouldn't
already
affect
giving
it.
permission to do that. He's not that, right? I mean,
yeah, like I said, it's just a dedication or easement, so, I mean, it just gives you the ability, like I said, there's nothing to say that the town is gonna widen the road tomorrow, but it gives you the ability for the town to do that sometime in the future if it's needed.
how many feet do they come across, within your premises? For the snow fence?
For the snow fence, they usually put it probably 30 feet off the road. Maybe a little less, 25 feet.
But that's in the open area. It's not like right in front of your house.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, because
No, it's in-
open areas is where they do it.
Where you see the dirt to the, on the upper side of my house, and then they'll start right at my last driveway there, in front of the greenhouse, and then they go all the way to my son's house.
Okay.
And the Public Works guy has my phone number. He always calls me, and we chat, about the conditions, whether it be, I don't want them going out on the side if we just had 4 inches of rain the day before. So we chat when it's dry and hard, and they can go out there with their tractor. I let them go out there.
Okay. So, Mr. Reed, do you have any further testimony you wish to put on the record?
I guess not. I guess I was obviously taken by surprise today. I mean, we came here up until, I don't know what time it was that I got the phone call, but up until that point, I thought, I didn't know about all of this, the special occasion event stuff. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to, talk to the county or address anything as far as that goes. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't see how the two things are related. I'm just trying to believe me, I'm 62 years old. I really don't feel like building a house at this point in my life and having a mortgage and that whole deal. But I have to do what I have to do. So, and I don't see how me putting a house up is related to anything else that's going on there. But
Sam?
that's up to your
Yes, Mr.
discretion.
Chair. Mr. Reed, the board isn't trying to deter you from doing anything. I think what everyone here, especially the professionals, are trying to explain is that you have 2 events, right? So it's some people's understandings through Instagram and through everything else that there have been more than just 2 family events. And the board's been fairly consistent in trying to upkeep, allowing farmers or people like in your same position. And in the past, other farms and owners have come to the board to do their due diligence and do their thing. So I think what the board is trying to portray is saying, okay, hey, it's their understanding that you may or may not be doing that, and they're just trying to put their cards on the table. So moving forward, they're not saying that they're the same. It's saying, tonight you have your residence, this is your home, and that's fine. But if you were to continue to do the events, there's more that's going to have to go into it than just doing the county work. Because once the county does approve you, you do still have to go back to the municipal level and get the municipal approval. And I think that's just what they're trying to, put all the cards on the table.
I don't have a problem with that.
Sure, yeah. And I believe that that's what they're trying to do. No one here is trying to.
I mean, I just feel though, I mean, if we're gonna get into, you know, rainwater management and retention ponds and everything, the whole thing's gonna shut down.
Yeah,
'Cause it's unaffordable.
And again, that's not up to the board to decide. Like, that's really for yourself. And they were trying to depict that if that is the route you wanted to go, and that's what
Yeah.
Charlie was trying to explain before. Like, maybe you do hire a professional, whomever, to tell you, hey, this is about what it'll be. And they're not trying to say, hey, you need to do this now. And I don't believe that they were trying to do this morning. More so, it might have saved some time if that was the route you wanted to go, to say, hey, I'm gonna hold back, I'm gonna do it, and then move forward. That's what the.
Well, and the goal of the township is to bring the property into overall compliance. So while you're having this application where you needed relief from the board, if there was this other and unsanctioned activity going on, the board would want to consider giving you that relief as well, but you have to apply for it. So we don't want that, so that's the goal. That's why, right? The goal is to have the property in complete compliance with state and local law in whatever you want to do, subject to that and our role in enforcing it. That's all.
And what Charlie has opined on was that, if you kept it small and you had a good engineer, you might be able to stay within the confines of what you already have in order to do some of those smaller events that you would like to perform.
So, and I just want to say, because we've been reading through this new state law, you really need to look through this. It's not there's a lot of detail in here about, it says, quote, "No new permanent structure shall be constructed or erected on preserved farmland for the purpose of holding special events. And improvements to existing structures shall be limited to the minimum required for the protection of health and safety." That's our New Jersey legislature.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, when you do this,
No, I knew that about the new structures.
so pay attention to the details in the state law, because that's what the county's going to look at, and then what the board would have to look at if the application's filed. So.
And I would also encourage you to engage the Ag Board, because they might tell you on similar properties throughout even Howell or Greater Monmouth County what other applicants and farm properties have been doing to try to keep themselves under those thresholds. Like I said, we're not happy to enforce the things that are dictated down by the state, but if we approve something that's not in accordance with the state, then it falls back on the municipality, and it just puts the board and the municipality in a hard perspective from that angle. So, just like Sam said, we're just trying to put our cards on the table, so if you come back, you know what you're coming back with.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Mr. Reed?
I get it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, can we open up the public? Is there anyone in public that would like to speak?
I'll make a motion to open.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Eileen, we're open to public.
Meeting will now be open to the public.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close to the public.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. Eileen, we're closing the public.
Meeting is now closed to public.
Mr. Reed, do you have any final comments?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And professionals?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So this is application case number BA 23-03. David Reed, this is to construct a single-family dwelling within the front yard setback. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we grant the applicant's request for the single-family dwelling within the front yard setback as he's applied.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it, but with no additional setback requirements.
No additional setback requirements, and in accordance with all the testimony that's been put on the record.
Yeah, and I'll explain it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think you just However, the motion and you act just needs to be clear on the dedication, whether it is or is not required. That's, I think, the only thing.
Not required.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
If I can explain, maybe it'll help. Mr. Reed's a long-term resident and farmer. We like to have farmers in Howell. We want to make sure that they stay here. I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt. That house has been there for decades on Howell Road, so I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt of giving in to him a little bit on that requirement, and given that he's a farmer in the township.
Got it, Mr. Cantor, thank you. Do we have a second?
I'm going to second. I also agree with Mr. Cantor. I mean, this setback, when there is a property where the house is 50 feet to 100 feet back, it's not a big deal. But in his situation, and because of his long time being here in this town, I think we have some flexibility, and I think this is the time to do it. So I second the motion.
Eileen, roll call, please.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
I would just like first to say, to encourage you, when you go on to the events, try to, heed their advice, because I think it's good advice, and with that, I'll say yes.
Mr. Merton?
Yes.
Mr. Rubel?
Yes.
And Chairman Saya?
Yes.
Application's approved.
Congratulations, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, sir.
I hope this was beneficial for you.
It will be.
Okay, you got it. All the best. Okay, Eileen, anything else before the board?
Nothing else tonight.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We got a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.